I'm actually going to, you know what? Actually, this is me throwing down the gauntlet to you, Cook's Assistant. You can make something good with these ingredients. We'll feature you on the RuneScape homepage during a new game update.
Okay, JD. Challenge accepted. Which means we're going to need a rocktail, some raw rat meat, a kebab, which you can find out how to make by clicking on the link on screen now, some eggs, a bar of chocolate, vanilla milk, the closest thing we could find to heirloom tomatoes, raw sweet corn, a beer, and a wizard mind bomb that I'll be showing you how to make later. The first ingredient we're going to be using today is our rat meat. Sadly, the rats around here were a little bit too quick for me, so I'm using pork instead. Pork and its packaging apparently. Let's just get that out of there. We're going to fry this for a few minutes to give it a bit of colour before we add in our spice blend. I'll leave the recipe for this in the description. Followed by some salt and pepper. Then we're going to give this another stir just to make sure that everyone's coated in our spices. Next, we need to add an onion, which we've chopped into medium-sized pieces, 2 to 3 cloves of garlic, and 1 green chilli. Hey, he never said we couldn't use extra ingredients. Let's give this another stir through until our onions have begun to soften, at which point we're going to pour in our beer, followed by a squeeze of fresh lime. After another quick stir, we're going to tear in a bit of coriander, turn the heat as low as it can go, and transfer it to another stovetop that we have sneakily hidden off camera, where it's going to cook for another 3 to 4 hours. During which time we're going to use some more of our shopping list's ingredients by making a chocolate mousse. So in goes our chocolate, broken into pieces, followed by some butter. We need to keep the heat really low here to prevent our chocolate from splitting, but alternatively you can take the less lazy option and melt these over a bowl of boiling water. Once our butter and chocolate are sufficiently melted, but not super hot, we're going to whisk some of our egg yolks together before quickly mixing them into our chocolatey butter. Hoping that anybody that's following the recipe along at home hasn't already thrown out the whites of their eggs, we're going to give them a good whisking in a large bowl. Once our egg whites have begun to thicken and turn frothy, we need to gently sprinkle in a little bit of sugar before continuing to whisk them. This process needs to be repeated 2 to 3 times each time the sugar dissolves, until all of our sugar has been added. If you've done this right, by the time all the sugar's gone, we should be able to tip the bowl upside. Yeah, there we go, nice. Taking a bit of our cloud-like egg white, we're going to whisk this into the chocolate mixture that we made earlier, as this will allow the rest of the egg whites to combine easier when we add them in a minute. So once we've done that, we're going to carefully fold in the remainder of our egg white, doing our best to knock out as little of the air as possible. With our mousse mixture complete, it's time to carefully spoon it into our fanciest glasses, before giving each of the glasses a little wiggle to make sure that the mousse looks nice and to fill all of the gaps. Then it's into the fridge with them to set them up. We still haven't used the vanilla milk from our shopping list, so to make our chocolate mousses a little bit more exciting, we're going to whisk the vanilla milk together with some cream. As milk doesn't really thicken when whipped, we won't be expecting this mixture to be super thick, but this consistency should be fine. While we wait for our mousses to set, we're going to make a tasty yet surprisingly simple dish with our rocktail, or basa. Having laid the fillets in an oven-proof dish, we're going to season them with salt and pepper and a little bit of fresh lemon zest. There's no point in wasting the juice of the lemon, so let's put that in there too. Our heirloom tomatoes have mysteriously cut themselves into small pieces, so we're going to sprinkle them over the top of our fish, followed by some equally sized slices of black olives. One last season with salt and pepper before we pour a tiny bottle of white wine over our fish and a little bit of olive oil. Then off to the oven it goes for 20 minutes or so. And here's our first completed dish of the menu, looking all vibrant and summery. No time to admire it though, as there's still more cooking to do. To some flour, we're going to add some baking powder and black pepper, giving them a little bit of a stir just to combine them. In goes some milk, and then we can conveniently use our empty milk glass to crack and whisk 1 whole egg, which we're then going to add to our mixture. Finally, we're going to pour in our raw sweet corn, and yes, there is a lot of it, because we're making some corn fritters to go with the rat meat stew that we made earlier. From here, it's just a case of combining all of the ingredients together until they've reached this sort of consistency. We're then going to heat some oil in a pan before dropping in a good dollop of our corn mixture, ensuring that we pat it down with a spoon as best we can to make sure that our fritters cook evenly. This side's probably cooked by now, so let's give it a flip. Nailed it. And with the other side cooked too, we can slide it out, ironically not as smoothly, onto a plate before cooking a second one. Remember our rat meat stew? Well, it's been about 3 hours now, and as you can see, it's rendered down beautifully. So we're going to top our corn fritters with a couple of generous spoonfuls, before adding some token greenery in the form of a stalk of fresh coriander. And of course, the obligatory close-up so you can see its delicious meaty goodness. More food, you say? Well, that's good because our chocolate mousse is now set, so let's top it with some of our vanilla cream that we made earlier. I'd say that this has made a pretty fancy addition to our menu. We've got all this food now, but nothing to drink, and sadly my local pub didn't have any wizard mind bombs, so let's make one instead by adding some blue food colouring to a glass, followed by a squeeze of fresh lime juice. We're then going to add a shot of tequila and give this a little stir before pouring in some beer, badly, to give the drink a distinctive RuneScape style head on it. And here's our mind bomb. It's not quite the colour we were going for, but I'll give it an A for effort. Now all that's left to do is to add it to our completed feast, and we've done it. It's been a lot of work, but we've successfully managed to turn JD's 10-item shopping list into a 4-course meal complete with a drink. Let's get stuck in, shall we? If I can actually remember how to put food onto a fork. The fish is pretty good. I'm not usually a huge fan of fish, but this was light and fresh and would make a pretty nice dinner during summer. I've been staring at these fritters for what feels like an eternity now, but they were so worth the wait. If you make anything from this video, make these guys, honestly. My frequent viewers will have seen me make this kebab before, but yeah, it tastes just as good as it did the last time, so let's move on to dessert. As you can see, our mousse is set up beautifully, and it tastes just as good as you'd expect it to. It's rich and chocolatey, just what you need after 3 courses really. And finally, our drink. Cheers guys, and cheers to you JD for offering up this challenge. Yeah, not bad at all. Well, I'm gonna go and have a well-earned sit down, but as always guys, thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you soon.